That's what I keep forgetting to bring is that mixer. The Gemini one.
Yeah, nip home and get it.
No, just quickly.
From when you were a DJ in Cardiff.
Exactly.
Just nip home, just nip back
The rest
and
of
get
it
it.
got stolen.
Everyone will understand.
And everything. And the works.
The whole works.
I spent money on that shit.
Yeah, you spent more than 420.
A lot more.
Then you got ripped off.
Yeah, 420 is coming up absolutely everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight.
What's 420?
420 is like a cannabis buzzword. There's a lot of history around the time, 20 past 4 in the afternoon.
Oh,
it's steeped in
okay.
folklore and mythology mostly.
I think we've got an episode about it.
But 420, 420, yesterday there was this huge bust went on in Port St. John's. And it just so happened that the street value was 420,000 rand.
Even the knocks have a fucking sense of humour. Folks, welcome to the HotBox show. Tonight you're joined by myself, Buzz, Joe, James, Jules, and as always we'll be talking Lang Dang.
That's it.
Bradley, good evening, bro. You're there already.
Hi,
He's
Brad.
been camping out on the steps of the HotBox waiting for the show.
Sweet.
So James, thank you very much for coming.
Absolute pleasure.
We had you on
Yeah.
we had a hangout with you the other day that was just not doing it for the viewers because you're the man with a little bit of knowledge that's going to placate a few things. You can be the guy that says it's a grey area.
That's my job. That's what I plan to say a bunch of. And in fact, I think that's the answer, really.
Yeah, Buzz's analogy the other day was there are parameters around this judgment, you know, it's in a box. We know what the box is, but he says we took a whiteboard marker and rubbed everything out on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, the strangest thing is that actually the Davis judgment was clearer than what we got from the Concourt, I think.
I remember the look on your face in the Concourt when we basically both clicked at the same time that the police have some astonishing powers at this point because of this judgment to be judge and jury on your plot at 2 in the morning with an R4.
Because news from the Western Front is that the busts do seem to be continuing.
Off and on, yeah. We've I got a photocopied warrant at 7 o'clock this morning on WhatsApp. Ding 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 ding. I thought I'd set the alarm for something that I didn't remember, and then it's a bust coming through, and it's not legit. It's not signed. It's like this blanket warrant just to scare the shit out of you at your gate. But the annexure at the end of it says to afford evidence of the commission of the offence, which is you are now behind closed doors cultivating in private for your own use, but the word offence is here, you have to seize the following. And basically it says all Dagga and plants have to be seized. And there were 7 plots, all in the same area outside Sedgefield this morning, and they got drilled. There's live rounds getting shot towards the dogs, and total terrorising by, guess who? The George Police.
Yeah.
So they're out of control. So boys and girls, just be cool. Just do what you've been doing all along, and just be cool about your cannabis at the moment, because as James will tell us now, there is a lot of grey areas going on. We still don't quite know what private is. I had a legal conversation yesterday. Categorically it means your pockets, your luggage, your car, and yes, you can go to PE with 100 seeds in your pocket. It's absolutely legit that way. But if you go down at the airport, you're going to have to find a lot of money to prove all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only area that the Concourt was more or less clear about in terms of what's private is your home.
Yeah.
But the reason why it was mentioning home and that's a safe area is because it was criticising the Davis judgment on that, saying but we can't restrict it to that, because what if you've got your weed in your pocket and you walk out? So it went further then and said, therefore, having weed in your pocket must be okay, and we must extend the notion of privacy to that. So what we've got out of that judgment is your home and your pocket is safe. We don't know whether your car, your boot, your suitcase, or anything else is private and safe.
because what about the homeless people? They don't have a home. So
Absolutely.
their pocket is their private space. Their trolley, their whatever is their private space.
No, absolutely. Or within the blankets that they sleep in. If it's not in their pocket but it's next to them, is that private or not? I mean, honestly speaking, a lot of people sleep on the streets wrapped in blankets, and the stuff is not going to be in their pockets. It's going to be on the little box which contains pretty much everything that they have, and it'll be on or in there. Now, is that public or not?
Exactly.
My
private space is not up to the police discretion. It's the weight.
The weight, again, well,
Okay.
that was another thing entirely. So the amount was just left wide open by the Court.
Which is disappointing.
Which is absolutely disappointing. It might be worth mentioning, because there's a lot of confusion around this, that in the very, very old, very, very bad days, I distinguish that because there was the post-Davis and the pre-Davis, and now the pre- and post-Constitutional Court decision in terms of marijuana. There used to be a presumption that if you're found in possession of more than 115 grams, that you are therefore dealing. It was a presumption. But it was a presumption which required you, as the accused person, to prove that you weren't a dealer.
Yes.
And for that reason, it was found to violate the constitutional presumption of innocence, and the whole thing was struck down. Not just the way you were required to prove it. The whole thing has been struck down, and that's crucial for people to understand. It's not the case that there is some sort of presumption that's still in operation, but that now it's just a case of that it operates on ordinary presumptions or ordinary rules of evidence. It's gone. It's been struck down.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are found in possession of more than 115 grams, there is nothing that it translates into nothing. And for the police to try and say that it translates into anything is an absolute lie.
You know, the police are very good at doing that, telling big fat...
When the R4's out and there's 12 on the plot and they've already shot towards the dog, you are making very irrational decisions at the moment. I always try and tell people to film it all, but you've got to have such a presence of mind to do that. And the footage looks like this.
You're in the middle of this whole traumatizing experience. You're being bullied. They're gaslighting you. They're pushing every button to get a reaction out of you, to give them more reason to arrest you. Now, for assault or resisting arrest, or you've got to keep calm.
It's excellent advice in any circumstance, whether we're talking about ordinarily being pulled off on the side of the road, or in relation to being in possession of marijuana, or whatever it is. Record audio. If you can't record video, have every device that you possibly can on record. Record
My favorite piece
video.
of advice. Dash cam.
Get a dash cam.
From your mouth to my
Get
ears.
two
I
dash
now
cam.
have a dash cam.
Have you got a dash cam?
I have a dash cam.
What does it look like? What do they do?
I can't get the SD card to talk to the laptop, so I don't know. But
Did you get it off Wish?
no, my mom actually won it in a competition.
So is it
from one of the
USB
local
or something?
newspapers.
Okay.
How does it power
It's got
up?
an SD card. It's connected to
USB.
the
Cigarette
electrics
lights.
of the car. So when the car's on,
And it's on when the car's
and
on.
when if it feels a bump or something, it goes ding ding, and it gives you 10 seconds before the ding ding and 20 seconds after with audio on mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not always recording me saying fucked up shit.
No, not always. And you get these better models than ours, which have got the back camera as well, so you can get both ways.
And is there a burn the evidence button in case you were the fucker?
But you know the best thing is mine's got this little blue light on it, so at night when I'm driving, like a granny, cars are just pulling away from me because they think there's blue lights in this car.
Do you remember the video that we showed not so long ago of the guy with the dashboard cam, and there's like a transit van in front of the cops, and they go whoop whoop to stop the guy, and a balloon comes out the window, a helium balloon, and they've tied the weed to it. It's just gone. And then they stop the car.
I mean, I hate to be the geek to say. To talk about dash cams, but people get dash cams, and it's along the same lines as You want to record absolutely everything. If I could strap a GoPro to my head every day, except for maybe, my wife would say maybe 3 minutes. I would say more like 20 minutes at night. Then I would do that. And it's absolutely, it would save my ass so often. Recordings have saved my ass so often. So, but on dash cams. Get 2 dash cams. Put one in the front of your car and one at the back of your car. And if you're going to invest in a dash cam, people, they are now incredibly cheap. But get one that stays on for 10 or 5 minutes after you switch the car off.
Well, I've got a dash cam right in my hand, yeah.
Mine does. When you bump it when it's parking,
Yeah.
it records.
Yes.
I'd like one, however, that auto saves to the cloud, so that there's no cop pulling an SD card out and trying to destroy it.
Maybe we need a NARC cam.
It must be.
No.
Black
NARC
box
cam.
for NARCs in the
Yeah,
car.
that's what it has to be, a NARC cam. It goes out, it goes off onto the cloud.
NARC on
immediately.
die NARC. But now, the devil's advocate to me, because I look a lot at the data and like how things are still very racially biased in the US in terms of arrest quotas. And even in places like Colorado, you know, white kids, not arrested so much anymore. But somehow black kids, for the same weed crime, arrest rates have gone up. So I think paradoxically, with decriminalisation, there may be inadvertently situations where people are now going, it's decriminalised, and now they may actually get arrested. So do you think we may, in some situations like now, see arrest ratios actually go up in decriminalisation?
Well, yesterday there was no arrests. There was just terrorist tactics. They're not arresting anyone because they know it's not going to stick, because they know that's not a legit piece of paper. They know they've cut the gate locks off for no apparent reason, and they know they've shot live rounds out of a gun that they have to account for.
Yeah.
So they're not after any protocols here. They're just thugs at the moment. But caveat, it is George Cops, and we know the George Cops as lunatics. They're absolutely
Please don't come
out of
visit
control.
us, George Cops,
No.
if you're white.
Yeah, no, George Cops, you're not going to get through the gate.
If you don't come to us.
We got
Please
like
don't.
10 dash cams for those dudes.
Yeah. We got 4K.
So we know of 2 buses on the south coast that were transporting 1.5 kilos apiece. So there's a grey area that has to be tested, and there is a docket, so it has to be proved.
Yeah.
But there again, from magistrates to High Court and stuff, 50, 60 grand that they don't have.
Yep.
What else have we got? We've got a guy's had his seeds destroyed in front of him by the SAP at Goodwood Sorting Office this
Ow.
week.
What?
Did they
Crushed the
eat them?
seeds.
Crushed them.
They crushed the seeds in front. The guy came up.
With what, their boots?
Well, it's easy to crush a seed.
I don't know,
What
dude,
did
one by
they-
one.
What did they do with it? I don't know. They just destroyed the seeds in front of him. Right quote. It came up. Yeah. So, but I know of somebody who, I had a conversation with somebody now. He was baited to go to the post office to collect his seeds, and he got hold of us and said, "Fuck, what do I do? What do I do? The
Don't
cops are
go."
going to be waiting." We said, well, "You'll only know when you get there."
Yeah.
And he just charged him $400 import duty. So bring the seeds in and overgrow the government. That's what we're telling you. Just bring the seeds in, and if it says, "We'd like to see you," you have got a right to have whatever there is in that packet. Because the minute you become a felon if you grow 6,000 of them to sell.
Yes.
But if you got a pack of 10 from England, it says souvenir seeds only. What is it? Another grey area, James?
Well, look, I mean, the judgment said if you want it, you got to grow it yourself. So you're going to have to get seeds from somewhere.
So grow from what?
Yeah, grow it
Yeah.
from what?
Yeah.
Cuttings.
Yeah.
From friends.
Must
but
I-
then we fall into the gifting thing, which we started
Yeah.
talking about last time as well.
They were very, very clear in that Concord judgment about what they thought about dealing. It's absolutely locked down tight. There's
Yes.
no way they can make a comment on it at all. They can't condone it in any way. So dealing is now this loaded word out of the tabloids. That
Yeah.
it's
Which completely blocks industry.
oh well,
All industrial.
that's for the government to
Yeah.
decide now. So that's where we come in as civil society. We police these guys all the way with the outcomes document and say this is what we suggest. Because at the end of the day, there's 900,000 cannabis farmers in the country, and they're not all going to get a license. It's crazy to even
No.
think that they are. So there's a long way to go yet with the legislators.
All right.
Anyway, Jeffrey Tracy, he's from,
How's it
where
going?
are we? Grahamstown. And we got
they
Robbie
changed the
Cameron
name,
from just
didn't
down
they?
the road. And our other live guest, Brandon Orette, is coming round the back of a roadblock through four ways.
I bet they crushed these pips too. So, guys at home, I think what I'd like to start making a bit of a tradition for each episode is tell us at home what you're blazing and how you're blazing it. Are you vaping? Are you dabbing? Are you bonging? Are you spliffing? Are you schnaffing? Are you suppositorying? Are you edibling?
Yeah.
Tell us. And what is it?
And if you are suppositorying, what flavour is it?
You said snuffing now. I wonder if anybody's ever tried snuffing teeth. I know there must be a YouTube video about that
Yeah, the
somewhere.
boogers must be
Somebody
cut.
must be stupid enough.
We'll wait for Dan to get back. We're missing Dan terribly. Dan, dude.
And is DJ P around? I don't see DJ P on
No, the
anything
dude's
tonight.
probably grafting.
Oh no, hello buddy, we'll see you at the weekend. Yellow Man.
Hey, yellow man.
He's topping his pipe with hash and a dab. But he's quite hardcore.
Cool.
Can I have one of those?
Amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's get hot.
So
Let's
this
get it hot
is
in here.
this is a live run of a winter harvest that shouldn't have grown, but we just had to prove global warming actually, because there hasn't been any frost in Joburg for so long. People are now doing winter harvests because they're not going to get killed. So this is a winter harvest that wasn't really mature, but it was going to veg immediately. So
Yeah, it goes.
it was something like a lemon haze, and it's completely delicious. Vanessa Brass, hello Vanessa.
Oh,
Vanessa. Very nice to see you. And Damien Clayton's doing a Buddha cheese joint. Well, that'll put his lights out.
That sounds like it'll float by.
Yeah, no, that'll
Nice
float
one, dude.
everybody's by,
High
the Buddha
five.
cheese joint.
Boom.
And Yellow One's got some sweet looking purple haze and a dank kiff making fat bong. Have you checked Warren's bong?
Red.
I have.
Yes, you remember that bong he brought onto the
I
show?
know,
It hadn't been
Red,
cleaned
yes.
for about a month.
But that wasn't for lighties or for sissies, that bong.
Skanky thing.
No, it's not it.
Terrible. Oh, there's a lot of cheese going around. It looks like we've got a lot of people coming in from Cape
Cape
Town.
Town.
It's one of the most popular, it is the most popular brand of smoke in Cape Town. There's people in Cape Town, it's like a license to print money, clones of a cheese. It's a strain called cheese.
Oh,
And it is now become so ingrained in culture. It's not, when you say I want cheese, you don't really mean you want cheese, you
okay.
just want something as strong as
Good
that.
quality.
It's like a benchmark
Yeah.
of strength of
It's like I
smoking.
want fucking grade.
Yeah, I want grade brew.
I've got a lot to learn.
Oh, no, you don't have to learn. No, just observe. It's
Watch
okay.
the show.
Watch this. Watch this space.
The things you do know more than make up for the things you don't know.
White
Wow.
Widow pipes, super silver haze joints. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Oaks aren't fucking around. No one say Tari or Swazi, yeah? Come on, Oaks.
No.
Yeah, Jeremy's
Oh no, hang
not
on. No,
that's
there's no Tomas Giori. Some seedless coming from Swazi.
Legend.
And it's cheese country. That's exactly what it is. And somebody called Bersha Brady is tending to the born-free baby plants.
It's the born-free
The
generation.
born-free generation. And we worked out that anybody that was born last century, if you have a benchmark of 18 years old, it's now
Yes.
2018, September 2018 is the judgment. Then anybody born September
Okay.
2000.
this year,
All those
this
millennium
century,
buggers.
yeah, they will never know cannabis prohibition. Much.
Much.
They'll never know cannabis with total prohibition. They'll know it with lots of grey areas.
Yeah.
At least we knew where we stood 2 weeks ago. We were just enemies of the state. Now we haven't got a clue what we are.
Now
The
it's
Twilight Zone.
Now it's awkward, we're not sure, because now it's like our first date with Mary Jane, and we're not sure if we can publicly go to first base, or if we should just go for third. It's all in the air. But now I wanna throw, like, hopefully in a year's time, we'll be able to revisit this question I'm about to ask, because, dude, I've been following the boring news for so long. Will decriminalisation lead to a price bubble pop in a year's time? Will weed effectively be cheaper a year from now because of decriminalisation? Oaks and O?
Yeah, what do you think?
Will
to
the
that?
bubble
Yeah.
done pop? Guys in the studio, will the bubble done pop in a year's time?
I'm not so sure a year's quite right, but it will do.
It
But I
will
think
slowly deflate, definitely.
Yeah.
As people are growing their own and learning how to grow their own nicely, personal sales will drop down. I think for medical and stuff like that, it may stay.
They're going to tax the shit out of it when it becomes medical.
Yeah, but not then.
As long
But
as the
for
people
now,
get
in a
paid
year.
back from medical aid.
But
Like-
you know, it's illegal to trade, so it's a moot point.
Yeah, we
Oh,
still
come on, man. This ain't no fucking SABC 3, 8 o'clock in the morning.
You
Will
know
it
what?
come down the price for the oaks?
Yes, it will, because
Yeah.
everyone's going to have kilos in 4 months' time. By Easter on the high felt, there's going to be so much weed, they won't know what to do with it. I've grown
People are
lank
gonna
weed,
be
brew.
paying
Look at my
people
weed.
to take it.
But then nobody's got a market for it.
Do you think there will be like a surplus and the
Yeah.
prices will even potentially, will there be a weed session?
Well, I think when people realise how much weed they have grown, they're going to learn to make oil very quickly because they won't know what to do with all their weed. They will grow far too much weed for the people that they know, because the people they know are growing weed for the people they know. So yeah, it will get quite hectic. I'm going to look over to our guests over here. You live in Deep Sloot, yeah? There's not many people can grow in Deep Sloot, no? There's no space. There's no. All the houses have got no garden. They've got nothing. So where you just got to buy it, yeah? So there's not many places in Deep Sloot that you could grow anything, no? Without it either being stolen or pulled out by the church or something. You know?
Even though you can grow it, perhaps someone, some people can just, steal it. It's not safe. Also.
It's
Yeah.
not safe.
It's not
Yeah.
safe.
You see, that's a huge issue.
Well, it's a very important point, because if you want it, then according to Justice Zondo and the entire court,
And the
remember,
entire
right,
bench.
absolute unanimous judgment
Mhm.
said if you want it, you got to grow it, but if you don't have the ground and you can't grow it, what are you going to do? So they recognise you're right, but at the same time, you've got to have ground. If you don't have ground, your right is not recognised.
That's right.
So do you need to find somebody with a nice piece of ground and who's willing to subdivide it and rent it out?
Well, that's when we get to the realms of having a cooperative,
Or does
and
that
there is
want to
somebody
steal it?
close to Tarbo's house that has got land, like Puwai or somebody.
Yeah.
They got a couple of acres, and then they can grow, and you are part of a community that, that no money gets exchanged. But we've had this whole thing last night with the lawyers battling it out, what the difference between barter, trade and dealing is.
Yeah.
And it is so cerebral, it lost me after the first 4 hours.
And you can talk about it for at least 8 because
It's absolutely
that's
crazy.
the way the law works.
But let's get that was fun now, but let's get down to brass tacks. Okay. You think it's gonna go down?
I think it's going to go
James, you
down
think it's
ultimately.
from outsiders pure outsiders perspective, it's gonna go down.
I've never thought that being asked an economics question would
so
anybody
profound.
ever bother to ask me. And apparently you can say whatever the hell you like.
Whatever the fuck.
Because
Because nobody knows.
yeah, so on economics, I would guess that the price is going to go down because the Constitutional Court says, people, stop buying it, grow it. And of course everybody listens to the court.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe?
I believe the prices are going to come down. I think it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster for a bit while everybody sort of figures out what's happening, and it'll settle into its own groove, which I think will be a little bit lower than what it is now,
And you?
but not substantially.
What do you reckon?
I reckon it's gonna hold firm.
Yeah, well, it will. for
I'm
a
gonna
little-
hedge my bets. I reckon it's gonna hold firm for about 2 years.
2 years.
Mm.
So
And
that's
then
like,
it might go up or down from there.
so that's 2 harvests on the high Falter in Cape Town, maybe 4 at the coast.
Yeah. So I think
See,
everyone must try
4
and
in
make hay.
Swaziland.
Mm.
It's such an
It's
economist
Swatini
thing to
now.
say. And then from there it could go up or down.
Yeah.
No, because then we know the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now in the
No,
limbo, I think it's
yeah.
going to hold. I know some people grow for themselves, but also I generally tiptoe around medical because I always feel like I'm not qualified to really give context in a medicinal thing. But realistically, to me, what I see at the moment is older people and medicinal users being the biggest new market to
Absolutely.
cannabis. So that other thing's going to carry on as it does in Deep Sloot
Yeah.
and around us and all that. But those people who are looking for it now.
Yes.
They haven't got 6 months or 6 weeks,
No.
or some of them even 6 fucking days.
Yes.
Imagine being in that situation.
Um,
So I think that's going to be what the betting man would watch.
I reckon it's already happening. It's
Yeah.
already coming over the Swazi border en masse now. They've already got a harvest going because of their climate. The Ponderlands already got plants that are metre high, ready to rock. They've done a winter crop, so it's coming. And You know, I read a thing about the Ponderland the other day in one of the newspapers that some of the growers just aren't happy. They feel threatened because of the very thing we're talking about. Prices are going to drop.
Yeah.
But because they don't have to hide, they can hide it in plain sight now. They can grow more on better fertile ground and not up in the mountains on a 40-degree slope. So I think it's unfounded, their fears. I think they just haven't thought about it too deeply yet.
Yeah.
And right now it's going to be survival of the fittest. If you grow shit weed, you're not going to be able to sell it anymore.
well, that's it.
The standard's going to go up quite quickly.
Being able to grow out in the open gives you time to be able to actually be out there tending to your plants and making sure you're growing better quality.
Yeah.
I think.
And the more seeds coming through Goodwood, the better.
Shout
Keegan
out.
Schaefer, hello. And Dave Fisher. Dave Fisher. Hello, Dave Fisher. He's the man with the outdoor cookies that I brought back from the south coast.
Okay.
Yes.
Jesus, remember that stuff I brought back? That was like face melting.
There was some stuff from
outdoors.
last week you brought back,
Yes.
and you smoked all of it without sharing any with me. And the
no,
guy was like, "How was that shit?" And I said, "Well, apparently everyone says it was good."
Kamikaze. No, he had a gram of chemo.
It was lovely.
A Remo chemo.
Remo chemo. We smoked the
It
whole
was
gram
really
on the
nice.
show. He never
No,
left.
you smoked it in front of me.
He never left
It's
the
like you were
building.
baking my chick in front of me.
Well, you
'Cause
know
that was for me. It wasn't for use.
Well, you know the size of my pipes, like it's like 3/4 of a gram. My pipes.
Anyone, guys at home, what do you think? Do you think the bubble's gonna pop?
Yeah, what do you think out there in Facebook and YouTube land? There's 2 streams going on here. It's actually quite astonishing what's going on.
wielding.
The feeds are doing great, yeah. Welcome everybody. It's really cool to see the hairy farmer. A porcupine can fix your crop in one night. True story, yeah. You do not need a porcupine on your farm. And somebody, Martin Latham's dreaming about ripping up next door's tennis court to plant a
Terrible, dude.
dear. So, yeah, Raz Yellow, for sure, man. We can manufacture and supply to each other in a private cannabis club space.
Why not?
And I have to tell you, James, in Sedgefield, you know, after the judgment, we literally got on a plane and went back to PE. The next evening, we were in Neisner, and because it was owned by the person who rented it, the owner of the club said, well, this is a private space, and you're all my guests. So at the very first ever Dagga couple presentation, 24 hours after the judgment, people were blazing in the crowd at the Neisner Yacht Club.
Okay. Yeah, that would be right. Just as much as this is a private space right now, by virtue of, and this is important that everybody here consents. If there was somebody who didn't consent, it would turn it, ironically, into a public space and become unlawful.
See, that's where there's nothing just about the law. The law is bullshit.
Well,
it's
the
terrible. It's
technicalities. It's the technicalities.
It's technicalities. I can't do it any longer. I want a job change.
So
No,
yeah.
you don't.
No, we don't. Because we're going to talk about how good our jobs were now. Can I ask you, how are we doing on Brandon?
Brandon's coming. He's cool. He's
Should we
Somebody
kick
just now.
the motoring thing up a
kick
bit?
it up a little bit? Yeah. We'll
Okay, cool.
just-
Is it cool if we kick up the motoring thing? But I want to go to the next thing, hey, Oaks.
Prices will definitely go down, says Arno. The guys are setting up 3+ grow setups a week for
Yeah.
clients. It's like it's private space stuff.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be a lot of school fees. I think, also the betting man, I'd save all my money because I think in about 8 months' time, Gumtree's going to be full of grow tents on special.
Yeah.
Used half once.
Please ask the lawyer, Kamikaze. Yeah, man. When is it private and when is it public? Sure.
We don't know.
Camo, we don't know.
So your home is private, so long as there's not somebody in your home who objects to you using cannabis in his presence or her presence. And pretty much any dwelling or space where there's a bunch of people who agree to the use of it would be private. And from the Constitutional Court, we have the benefit of knowing that your pocket is a private space if you leave your dwelling. But other than that, that's about the extent of the law. On everything else, we're guessing. So when it comes to your car, we don't know. One may guess. By implication, it must be the case. For instance, that your boot must be a private space, but there's no law on it.
And there's no amount, because 1.5 kilos was deemed as dealing by a cop who took them in. But if you have another cop at another time, at another place, in another situation, 2 kilos might get you through the roadblock because they understand.
Well,
So-
you see, I kind of pushed my luck last weekend. I was making major HotBox in my car in a parking lot outside a barnyard theatre. We HotBoxed that motherfucker so bad you couldn't see through the windows. And I had my HotBox shirt on. So, I probably, the security guard didn't seem to mind. Everybody in the car was consenting.
Yeah, but
One was really impressed.
you run the risk of somebody minding.
No, you see, I know I pushed my luck, but I knew I'd parked out the way.
And Murph
Wasn't
and I
like
always say,
everybody's faces.
at the end of all of our presentations, we say, be cool to the other people, the outsiders, because we're trying to integrate this into the community. We're trying to integrate ourselves into the mainstream of life. So don't piss them off quite yet.
And I'm the one who also says be careful, be cautious, but don't do what I do, just do what I say.
No, I mean, sorry.
Go ahead.
What you did seemed perfectly legit. Everything's good, except if you were in possession of too much.
Too much.
No.
Too much.
That's my favourite
I
much.
literally
Too much.
had 1.5 grams with me.
Okay.
As you see.
I didn't push my
But
luck
you
on
could have been
that.
selling half of it to a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the
Favorite thing
problem.
to do.
Is that the cops can say that half of the 2 grams that you have on you, you were going to sell to someone else, and therefore you're a dealer, and that's why they arrested you. And frankly, the law permits them to do that, and that's the biggest downfall of this judgment, is that it gives that wide, massive discretion. So, I mean, while we're on the point of amounts, the amount is whatever's reasonable to have.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that doesn't address whether you're the sort of person who likes to smoke from the morning to the evening. What is the reasonable Dagga user? We don't know. It's undefined in the law. Certainly, you can imagine, because it's been illegal until now.
Right.
A month's worth? That
Yeah,
you're
so
fetching
that's
from
it.
your
So
private
do
other
you
storage
smoke
space?
from the morning to the evening? Are you a planner? Are you allowed to be a reasonable sort of planner when it comes to the use
Yeah,
of
I might go and
marijuana?
get yourself a month's supply because it's 100 k's away.
All project managers
Or-
would be like that. They'll be like, no, come on, I need to have...
Buy Bob. I mean, if you're the... If
Who
you-
pays retail?
Yes. So do you buy in Bob to save yourself?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, is that reasonable or unreasonable?
Right.
We
How much
don't
wine
know.
is too much wine?
Oh,
How much tobacco is too much tobacco? How much pornography is too much pornography?
Yeah, boot full
If this studio was up to our eyeballs in porno, booze, and tobacco, it would be completely cool.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
I bet YouTube wouldn't mind too much either.
No, they would still be putting Merc
As long as it
adverts
was
and
all
everything
over
else.
18 porn.
Yeah.
More murder.
Yes, this joke.
Well, there's some people out there who like under 18 shit, you know.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's
You know
okay.
what?
No,
This ain't that show.
YouTube pegs us the minute
If you
it
want to
goes
go to
out.
that show, you go to www.romancatholics.com.
They'll sort you out.
I know he keeps having continuous laughs from people on the phone with 2K budgets that want to set a grow up. They need more than 2K's worth of seeds.
One day you're gonna open that Caxton fucking newspaper and there's gonna be the builder special. Fucking what's it? Growers beginner special for $2
Well,
grand, dude.
Remember, there
So
was that
imagine-
ad floating around that somebody had bought a cannabis plant at Builder's Warehouse.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
I screen grabbed it. No, I've kept it. I must find it. I'll have it for next week, or somebody send it to me. But seriously, it was like Struben's Valley Builders Warehouse sold. It was in with the daisies, but there was Dink and the cannabis plant in there.
So hashtag builders.
Hashtag builders,
$12.99 they paid for that.
So there's a question here. Again, what's the maximum of plants you can have in a private space? But a question like that is all geared towards the smoking of a psychoactive plant. But nobody thinks about as Jeremy put last week, what if I have 100 grams of hemp seed in my diet every day and I want to grow my own hemp seeds?
Yeah.
So now there's there's 6,000 hemp trees to seed out for your year's nutrition. Again, that could be argued, yes?
It's absolutely arguable along the same lines of what if I use my marijuana to bathe in it because it helps my eczema?
No,
My
well,
athlete's
it would.
foot.
Yeah.
It would.
So,
I need
Also,
cheese
it's
for
an
my
annual
athlete's
plant, So
foot.
if you're growing once a year, you're growing a year's worth.
Cheddar cheese.
That's so true.
It's the same problem, and the Lord doesn't have any concept of how much is reasonable to have.
Right, but the cops have this vision, all of that for 2 generations, what is completely unreasonable to have.
And that's been implanted by the old presumption, which has
Yeah.
been found to be unconstitutional.
Totally, yeah.
So it's unlawful to even think that way.
But also, I feel like if we get to the sweet and short of that question, as things stand, that question is essentially a loaded question because the OG format of that question is how long is a piece of string?
Pretty
We
much.
don't know right now.
We don't know right now, and you have to be able. You have to have a really good reason why you've got 2 hectares of plants. And if you've got money and plants all in the same place at the same time, they're not going to believe a word you say because the street value of thing is imprinted in their brain. Simon Farrell's got a question. Who buys weed? Simon,
I like
good
that
evening.
question.
Travis in Durban. Hello, Travis,
Hey,
joining
Travis.
us.
I'd send you some weed for asking that question, but apparently you don't need any. So,
Yeah.
but good question.
Yeah,
Well done.
And I would advise against sending
Yes.
At least not in the post.
Yeah.
courier,
So-
courier.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. We'll give our official endorsement
I'm
there
sure
one day.
Builders is going to be busy tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for $12.95 weed plants. Fucking Builders
Now, look,
push.
that was like a year or so ago.
Okay.
That's why I'm going to have to dig
No,
through
it can't.
my
It must have been some sort of Canadian maple bonsai or something.
All right, Canada.
Canada.
Ding, ding, ding. So I'm gonna feel like a fish out of water here because I'm not sure any of you will appreciate this as much, but I'll get somewhere with it in the end. This was in narcity.com. It tunes Canada's first ever weed games bar just opened up in Vancouver.
Nice.
Canada's first ever weed arcade bar just opened up in Vancouver, and customers are loving it. We're not entirely surprised. Vancouver is known for hosting an epic annual 420 party in the streets and beaches in the downtown core, so we're not shocked that it's home to Vancouver's first ever games bar. And this place's title, in nice 8-bit score, 8-bit
ball.
font,
Yeah.
is High Score.
Oh, nice.
And they say essentially what it is this thing wasn't, it's not very original. They said this was actually in response to the fact that all over Canada millennials are now growing up and want to go out to bars and that resonate with them. So if there was a bar for me nearby that was full of arcade machines and that fucking air hockey and Time Crisis, I would fucking be there. I would have an account there so I don't have to pay shit ever and just walk in and smoke my weed and jam my jams.
Oh, and with your tokens, you get weed instead of stupid fucking toys.
The claw machine!
Your Cadbury's, bombs.
The bottom line is, if this is a private space and we have the use of it from the owner of the space and it's all been condoned, we could do the same thing here, surely.
Don't
In
give me
theory,
ideas.
or
Right
could we?
now, we
Could
could
we,
we
Grant?
could do
I
the
mean,
same.
so.
I
I called it!
the name's Grant.
I had a
Name's
Matrix
Grant.
moment. Called it. Mind the fucking.
Because you would be restricted by having to use your own, which you have grown,
Okay.
and you would have had to bring it from home with you, from your garden.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how restrictive the judgment is. So we're all good and legal here because it's a public space where everybody's consenting, but in addition, everybody is using their own homegrown stuff, right? And that's why we're good. But a club which opened would inevitably involve whether you pay some sort of cover, the transfer of stuff which isn't yours. Inevitably there would be some sort of purchase. Even if there was a donation involved, it would cross the boundaries of that judgment.
No gifting, people.
Yeah, it essentially doesn't feel like it can pass hands.
Mm.
But also the way so you can correct me if I'm wrong here, the way I read the Constitutional Court ruling was that they could have made a decision about dealing, but that the original case by Prince and Acton didn't speak to dealing. So in a way they were hamstrung on that decision. Do you think that was the mood? Or they were like, we just can't touch this, it's too hot in that sense?
I think that they restricted themselves to the privacy question, which is effectively what was put before them. And I wouldn't say that the Con Court is scared to go pretty much anywhere, because they've gone some crazy places, right? But I do think that it was unfortunate that they didn't address other rights. That's all I can say. And because of that, I think that's where we are.
Did they perhaps give us this sort of like half judgment, so just to get us off their backs for a while, so that they can finish focusing on everything else that's coming to them at the moment?
No, I think it's a question of whether you trust their integrity, and I think we can implicitly trust their integrity. I think it's just that they were asked a bad question, which could have been formulated better. The case that was put before them was a case that we didn't want before them. We wanted a different case, which was far wider.
We wanted Myrtle and Jules' case.
We wanted a question that raises all of the questions, not just one which required them to answer the privacy question. And they answered that one.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Special
I made it.
Welcome.
Away.
Brandon, this
so
is
much for job and traffic.
this is James, not Grant.
Yes, how's it?
Nice to
Craig
meet
and
you.
Bonnie.
Yes, how's it?
Small world,
Small world, bro.
Very good. Welcome. Sorry you had to dodge 18 roadblocks.
How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Lekker, I'm glad you're involved, man.
Join the Q advocate of note. He's really been so helpful.
So the last couple of weeks you've been bored, eh?
No, the opposite. I've been reading that judgment going, what do we do now?
What's happened with the phone calls, though? Have they...
Yeah, no, the phone calls have gone very, very quiet. Charlie's only getting questions like, can I buy seeds now?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a hotline of picking Charles' brain
Well, there's
now.
that in the teenagers.
But there are tricky things to do, and it's all retro as well. Everybody before the judgment is still in the mix. There's 109 stays of prosecution. That is also a whole story, because technically, if you're on a possession or a cultivation charge, you're off the hook. And technically, if you're on a dealing charge like Myrtle and I, you still have to face the music.
Yeah, bad people like you.
Bad people like me.
I'm
Dealing in drugs, eh? Drugs, not weed, drugs. And at the bottom it says, at the very bottom of the affidavit thing, it says dealing in superweed. And we thought,
Which
fuck that.
where do I get is that a compliment or an insult?
Oh, no, total hey, super
I can't wait for the day that I go, so what are you smoking? I'm smoking the DC, man. How do you know it's a DC? Well, you have one hit in there, meaning you're fucked up.
So here's a question for you,
Yes.
Greg. This Concord judgment was Jeremy's judgment.
Yes.
Everybody who has a stay of prosecution based on Jeremy's judgment now has to go back and finish their cases, yes. And everybody who has a judgment, a stay based on waiting for Myrtle and Jules's, their stay stays in place.
That would be right. But that would be slightly too technical for what's actually got to happen.
Right.
So something that might be useful for people to know is, what is the law now, and what can you be found guilty of based on whenever you were arrested? So the answer to that is that effectively there are two time frames, and the time frame is BD, right, before Davis,
Yes.
and after Davis. BD.
And AD
After Davis. And the reason,
And then the AC and the AD.
and the reason why there aren't three time frames, sort of before Davis and then between Davis and the Concord and then after the Concord, is because the Concord said we endorse what Davis said to this extent. So effectively it was saying we agree with you, Davis, and we're agreeing with you that you, as if you had said at that moment in time this, and saying this is what prevails from that moment in time forward. So 2 time frames.
Okay.
So if you were bust before Davis, you are in more trouble than if you...
You're in the same amount of trouble.
Yeah.
But you have a little bit more
on
right.
the dealing, yeah.
On the dealing.
Yeah, on the
thing.
Then you
dealing.
basically are relying on the mood of the judge of the day.
Well, they have to prove that we were dealing.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got any proof of dealing, because there wasn't, we just had, you know, a kilo of weed in the house for a rainy day.
So basically your week was sorted.
The week was sorted. I didn't have to
we've
go
got
out
for the day.
Yeah.
we've got 2 very good questions here.
Oh yeah, how are we
Let's
doing?
fire off with Emil Fisses. Aware. There we. Hi Jack.
Hi Jack, how are you, bro?
Oh,
So Emil says this can also be applied to your front lawn. That's public but not private. The area where you can be arrested for indecent exposure if you are naked is public. So what he's saying, so private property may be private in the sense of you think it's up to your front
that's
wall,
the bit you own.
but if you're growing your kush right there as kids are walking by, is that still private or is that public?
It'll be theft.
Yeah, true story.
My funniest is that not even 3 or 4 days after we had we'd been at the court, there was this, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was this case that somebody had, after all these years, reported another person, his neighbor, for stealing his weed. They went to the cop shop and said, "Hey, bro, this like."
Well, we had an instance in Annadale yesterday morning in the magistrate's court. Not only did the defendant get his weed back there and then, it was suggested that he sued the cops for wrongful arrest.
Yeah.
So there's more human interaction. Can you believe that? Same
But there's
story.
an interesting fact thing on Bobby Greenash's thing. He was saying that since the laws changed, what's changed?
The law.
Yes.
What's changed?
Right. Well, paranoia levels.
Yeah,
They've
oh,
definitely
dude.
changed.
But the old school smokers who
Oh, no, we'll never.
we'll never get over
Never
it.
get over
I was saying to a friend of mine the other day,
PTSD.
everybody's jumping on the weed wagon, and I'm going, sorry if I swear, but fuck all of you that haven't been involved and weren't part of the revolution before it was legal, and pushing that movement and living with that fear, as you would know. Of the fear of what if, what, how.
We're not completely out of the cack with that yet, but the more you know your rights and the more you research what happens at that point blank instance when the cop has a bolt cropper at your gate, that's the bit that you have to kick into. There's rightful and wrongful arrest, and the cops likely are wrongfully arresting you right from the word go, because if he has got a bolt cutter and he hasn't got a piece of paper to go with it, he's fucked from the start. He really is. There's no conviction. There's nothing.
But the problem is do the cops know that? Do the cops know that as they're doing that, they're breaking the law? That they are going to be.
I don't think they actually give a
I
shit.
don't think they care, but I also think that there's probably a number of them that don't really know.
That's my point.
They're just doing what they get told. Their commander is
Lemmings.
saying, I want numbers, Bruce. I want numbers.
Cool. So let's get. We
The
didn't.
question, the answer
We didn't get.
is-
So is your front? Could I grow weed on my front lawn?
I don't think
Plain
whether
sight.
it's your ground or not affects whether it's private or not. In the sense of where you grow it, I think the privacy issue comes around to where you keep it and where you use it. So if I grow it, let's say outside of my property, but it's somebody else's property, that doesn't mean that it's public just because it's not on my ground. I don't think it would matter where your ground literally ends.
Okay, so if it had some really opaque shade around, opaque plastic around it, that you could see it was a plant, but it's not offensive enough to be weed, it's just generally a plant, that could be private because only you could see it.
But you know what that would be like? Is then you'd get kids googly eyeing at it through the plastic, like you're trying to tune in Mnet Skellum to see the late night refuse diaries. Oh,
Buzz, here's my view on that. I believe, from my point of view, is that as kids, teenagers, when someone says to you, don't do it. What is the first thing you do? You go, no.
Sounds fun.
So I truly believe in it, and it's not just an idea that I have. It's facts that have been based in Portugal, in all those places where they've actually seen the use of drugs drop.
Yeah.
The dependency drop. The amount of people going into rehabs drop. So my thing is if we as humans, and I could be wrong, I could be totally wrong, but we hate the word don't and do not, because for me and for you, it's taking away my freedom to go, screw you. This, my friend, I'm committing a crime that has no victim.
Yeah.
I'm the victim of. I make the choice to take a cigarette, put it in my mouth, take a joint, put it in my mouth, take the worst kind of drug, sugar.
Yeah, shame on you, bro.
Put it in my mouth.
Who
drink
gave
it.
him that shit?
Exactly, but that's my choice. You said to me, "Would you like?" I said, "Yes, please, I would."
Yeah,
That is my choice.
And
So
it's not going to help you kill anybody, unlike alcohol, which will help you kill somebody.
our perfect example of the day that we had yesterday on the
Oh,
train.
let's not go. No.
we haven't got to that
What?
yet.
We waited for you.
Sorry. Just saying that we had a policeman who was there whatever we did, and he said to me straight. He said to me, the biggest problems that he has ever faced as a policeman, as a serving cop in the South African police service, sorry, old school, alcohol, always alcohol, abuse, alcohol,
Guaranteed.
accidents, alcohol,
Guaranteed.
this alcohol. I said to him, man, how many times did he say to me, well, the one time that he had to go and report about weed smoking, it was like, hey bro, it's all good, come in, sit down, have coffee, what do you want to talk about? Your neighbor said you got smoke, you smoke weed. Yeah. There it is.
Now we to roll it for you.
How would you like it?
Would you like a bomb?
Here's a question, but we kind of know sort of the answer. Somebody, Crixus Aurelius. Do you guys think that SA will actually make a breakthrough in all aspects of legal, like medicinal and recreational and industrial?
Yes.
My answer to that is they have to, because in 2 years' time, the law has to change into something, and it can't remain the way it is, because there's so many outside powerful interests need in on this multi-billion-dollar industry. They're going to be bending the government's ideas backwards and up their arses to get into pole position for what's available to trade. And so for sure, there will be medicine, there will be hemp, there will be everything you desire, but the government has to come up with it and not the judge. The judge has laid the path open and cured everyone's paranoia, and it really is profound what has happened. The world is in awe, the cannabis world, and all the emails we're getting from around the world. We even had a high school kid from California, from the local San Francisco, San Bernardino High School male. What do you mean by human rights? We've got medical here. What do you mean that everybody can do it? And it's like, what?
I'll wake up every morning, Jules, now.
Smell the roses.
Oh, dude.
Smoke the roses.
Smoke the roses.
And I think it's going to take a while for us to get over that, because regardless of the fact, I think and that's going to be great for the younger generation of growers and
They never know.
They're never going to know the fear,
Yeah, right.
the anxiety.
What about you in the roadblock now?
My basic, I've been drinking. I don't drink, but
My pockets are still.
what is that smell? It's the smell of freedom, man.
What's that beer for? I like it in my bong.
Did he just wipe down the window and do a bluntly on him?
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
I'm fine. How are you?
Cool. So we went super scenic there. There was a question from a guy called Where Who or something like that. I'm going to answer your question straight now. His question was, what about importing seeds?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a transaction. It's illegal.
Yeah.
Oaks are still doing it. Give it a shot. Take the guaranteed option. If you go to Attitude or somewhere, you can do the extra $90-100 that they'll keep sending it till it gets through.
And you get a
your
free
money back.
cap and a free T-shirt and sometimes a free mug.
And another message I've got for you is, if you're going to start bringing in seeds, consider going to a UK seed bank and getting away from a Netherlands postcode on the label.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of UK things. At the bottom of it says stealth. And just pay the price and go for stealth shipping, because the last seeds we got in from the UK we opened the packet and it was like a kiddie's toy, in a trade sample of a plastic kid's toy like Lego. And we opened it up and there's nothing but just bits of toy. Well, they had a moulded little compartment. You needed a screwdriver to get them out of the little join that was in the Meccano thing. And there they were. There's the 10 seeds, but they were stealth.
Cryptic.
West Coast, man. I'm always about
David
the...
Carvis, good as me. Dave, good.
Hey.
Hello, Brew.
Good.
Good. What is Good up to?
So while you're doing it, I mean, we've spoken, I've certainly said a lot of negative things about the judgment, but I mean, there's something that needs to be acknowledged, which is what Brennan said, which is that court was asked that question about whether you can do with your body what you want, whether you can use marijuana, and it said, hey, go ahead.
Right.
Which is just fantastic. It needs to be commended for that.
I agree with you. Commended is a very good word.
And IDPC, one of the drug think tanks in Europe, came up with a one line that said, so now all of a sudden we were getting used to a medical regimen or a retail regimen,
What about
and
that?
now we've got like this South African human rights regimen where you can grow as much as you want wherever you want as long as you can prove it's for you.
For you.
It makes 100% because where did the first law start? When they
Yeah,
told you,
no,
you're not allowed to smoke now.
no,
It's
totally.
bad for you. Where? The Dutch. And then they took all of our genes, went over there, grew it, and they want to send it back to us. Screw them, brother. We, you know what?
That's why they speak Afrikaans funny.
Ja, exactly. Ek wil net van my Nederlander vriende sê dat ek wil net van julle almal sê we win. South Africa wins, brother. You took it away, but we claimed it.
Yeah,
we
man.
claimed it back.
It's something like that. It's a huge, massive human rights victory of drug policy. The right to choose.
Will they change the world policy?
Oh no, watch, we're in, Myrtle and I are thinking of the
well,
video.
of
We've
course,
been
yeah.
invited to put the video into the plenary session in Geneva in November. 30th of October is our deadline to put 7 minutes together of look what we just... Well, we didn't do anything. We didn't get what we wanted at all, and I'm still a dealer, and I still need to go to trial, for Christ's sake, in the end. Nothing really happened, except it's so profound. I don't know how to explain it.
Jules, I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
There are many people within this industry that claim titles. And I'm going to say this. There is the so-called the godfather of marijuana. There's the this, there's the this, there's that. For as long as I live and the group of growers, and there are many that I am friends with, you and Myrtle will always be, without offending anybody, but you will be the king and queen.
Okay.
You will be the soothsayers. You will be the Yodas.
The yodelers.
Yeah,
The yodelers.
because regardless of what happened, and I know you hate me when I say this, but I don't think it could have happened to better people. Because you are the epitome of what stoners are not, drug dealers are not. You know, it's that whole idea of the concept of what stoners are and what drug dealers are, and I go, but you're not drug dealers. We are not drug dealers. We are not stoners. We are not what you think we are. We are people who have everyday lives, who work freaking hard. And people, yeah, but marijuana makes you lazy. No, motherfucker. If you're lazy, you were lazy before it even touched you. If you were stupid before. If you were, I'm sure you say that because if somebody said that to me and said to me, I'm tired of people saying that stoners are lazy, marijuanas are lazy. When the majority of people in my life are marijuana smokers, and let me tell you something, they are some of the most successful,
Yeah, I know, every time, man.
hard-working,
They
loving, caring, animal supporting,
They have to be hard-working,
fucking
man.
tree-hugging people.
They have to be hard-working because they all work for themselves, generally.
Yeah, well, but this
Yeah,
is the thing. As an actor, my whole life, I've always been very open about the fact that I smoke marijuana, and the difference has been this: if an actor screws up a line on a set, and people don't know what it is, maybe he's been out partying, coke, fucking whatever it is that is, and he fucks up those lines the next morning, they're gonna go, he's human, because they don't know what he's doing. Let me fuck up.
Yeah, no,
Let me fuck up. You know what? And good for that, because you know what? I never have. That's my reason not to. Just to
Yeah.
go, yeah.
Maybe
That's
Hey,
professional, bro.
That's the standard of everything at Fields of Green is exactly
Yeah.
that. Right
Yeah.
down to the punctuation and the way you put out a tweet. Everything has to be locked down tight so you can't be called a stupid stoner and be blamed for
So
we,
easy.
oh no, it happens all the time.
Our
I'm
default
sure-
setting is
yeah,
higher
I guess they're
grade.
nodding their heads saying it's the stigma of it all. Just those things that you live with all of your life. And most of, you know, I've been looking at the hashtag Dagga, the hashtag Dagga on Twitter for pretty much 8 years now, 6 years.
Yeah.
Just looking at what happens. And most of the word Dagga at the moment is blaming weed on something about society at the moment. And the classic last week, the horrible story of the Dross rapist, somebody
Yeah,
put it
let's
wouldn't have
not
happened
go
if
too
they
much
hadn't decriminalised Dagga. And that was like the lowest it
How
could possibly
fucking dumb.
go.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Straight-
changing all of that, we have a visit. It's 2 o'clock in China.
Share,
How's it
share.
going, China?
Shashani.
Yeah, no,
Share for watching.
we've got people
Share.
like Marcel Badenhorst. Good. Hello, good. We're going to get to not restricting everybody. Don't worry, but there will be trade. There has to be in the end.
We're not going to stop fighting
No,
until we vote.
we're only just starting. And so,
I'm glad that
How
everybody's growing marijuana in South Africa. Because
How
I
much-
want people to realize how hard it is.
yeah, yeah. How much can we grow? How many plants can we grow? What's the strongest strain?
You tell us, guys. You tell each other in the comments all this. Grow what you can.
Gorilla Glue 4
Hang on.
is an amazing hard
answer
strain.
is
bro.
however much you need.
That's right. That's exactly it. If you can prove it is for personal use, you can grow from here to Sun City.
So here's something that I think that all the growers out there and people that need to know. So just if you do and you happen to have a massive amount in you, to make oil, you're looking at a 10% runoff. So
Yeah,
in order
yeah.
for you to make 10 mils of oil, you need a kg.
100 mil. No, you need 100 grams.
No, we're doing mathematics again.
Thousand,
Stop it.
thousand.
No. There's a rule here. We don't do mathematics on the show anymore, guys. Please, no more mathematics.
How many times we tried to turn pounds into kilograms?
I personally need. So that's 100 mil, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it works out perfect.
10 to 1 is if you put 100 grams in the pipe, you
10
should
to
be
1.
getting at least 10 grams out.
Once
of
you've
it.
taken all the pips
And
out.
100 grams of dry equates to sort of 400 grams of wet. And
10%
400 grams of
runoff.
wet is a plant.
Yeah, correct. 10%
To
runoff.
get 6 weeks supply for someone with some sort of cancer of sorts.
Can I bring up something?
So
quickly?
there's the maths. A plant every 6 weeks. So how many can you grow? You should be planting one every 6 weeks. That's how much you need. You don't, if you're in a climate where you do it in one hit, like the Highveld, you work that out. You have got 52 weeks in the year, and if it takes you a plant a day, you need 365 plants in your garden.
I think the advice is go home, open up your Excel in your bottom icon bar there. Open up your Excel. Say Excel, my daily dose. I smoke 2 grams a day or half a gram a day. Then you count how many days in a month. You say equal sum, and you do all that shit. And you figure out how much you actually consume as a person. And then you figure out how many plants equate
And
to
that's exactly.
I've got a question for you. Here's a question. Sorry, I'm rambling on. What about compassion clubs? What about people that can't
Yeah,
grow?
well,
What about people
hey.
that don't have the ability, who don't have the knowledge, the understanding to grow a high CBD or a high THC plant, or to do full extraction, or to do isolations?
It's all
Now
coming.
someone comes along and they
Yeah.
go, but then you go to somewhere like Spain and Italy where you have compassion clubs where the person says, I suffer from A, B, C, D, E. I need, these are the 3 strains that I know work for me. And those 3 strains are grown by Buzz. You come along and you go, I need this, I've got anxiety, I've got cancer, I've got fucking all of these shit. Jules has got the 3 strains that you need. That to me is when it starts serving a purpose more than financial benefit. It's because people start becoming aware of their own medication and what they need.
Right.
They don't have the knowledge, or the time, or the understanding
Or
to grow the plant.
a year's supply of your medication. That's the thing. Yeah, how many plants can you grow? Is the question of, like, you're all going to do it all in one hit. How many should I put in now? But you have to put it in now, and you have to put it in a month's time and another month's time
And
to
it's
get a
time,
spread.
sun tracking, and
Yeah,
is it indoor,
totally.
is it
So that's-
outdoor, is it flushed properly?
Tony Bruddens was approached by a farmer in the Western Cape at some sort of symposium for hemp, and he said, "Oh, I want to get into the hemp business, Brew. I'm a farmer. I've got land and everything." He said, "What do you grow at the moment?" He said, courgettes. He said, courgettes, how long did it take you to perfect that? He said, oh, pretty much 6 years, eh? He said, right.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's,
there's only one thing in a courgette, and it's a courgette, and there's like 400 and something, 420 thingies, you know.
Which I mean, it brings me to this point that is I love at the moment, is that at the end of the day, when the market changes and it all turns and it becomes more kind of a social thing, finally, after all these years, the cards will be in the grower's hands. And that to me is, because I believe it's going to become craft growing.
Well, that's what is protected. That's what that's one of the major things that the judgment actually did, is protect the people who want to keep a strain alive for themselves and not be beaten to death by a licensed producer, like in Canada. The craft market's almost dead in most provinces. They've killed it with legislation and taxation.
If I can
Same in North
interject-
California.
If I can interject, this is the mom and pop theory brought to you by Buzz. So what California had for 20 years was effectively decriminalisation. What Holland has now is effectively decriminalisation. And these have been very lucrative bottlenecks for what are half-pregnant industries.
Correct.
So what this effectively means is that if you have the stones to start defining all these questions you have yourself, how many plants can I grow? Go find out. Fill your fucking garden
How
if you
many
want
can
it.
you
Tell
grow?
us in 6 months if the cops knock you. Tell us in a year if you made $1 million. These are things we are now going to have to find out. But this mom and pop phase is a honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Because the laws, I do not think, are going to get wider, can they, James?
No.
They can only get narrower from here.
Clearer, I hope.
Clearer, but
Clearer,
clarity
yeah,
order.
yeah, exactly.
Clarity
It's
would be cool. Let's see what they do come up with, this mythical figure of what you can have in the boot of your car, you know. And Fields of Green will be there all the way to negotiate that track of, well, it's called proportional law. If you can have 67 cases of Johnny Walker, you should have 67 kilos or whatever weed. It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't
Fields
matter.
of Green,
Vernon.
fog. Let's remove the fog, man.
Except that, that's,
Was it 66 plants of weed in the yard? So anyway, Oaks, we got lost and we pulled a full Dharma party and we ate ourselves in terms of topic there. So let's get back to where we were.
But Vernon's
So-
got a point.
What's Vernon's
He's
point?
going large. He wants to build a hemp-based starship. He's going to need several. He's going to need several farms.
Just 1 or 2 farms.
The Starship Enterprise.
I'd like to be your Scotty on that fucking thing, man. Beat me up.
And Chris J makes a point. Whatever happens, they'll never kill craft cannabis. It's survived 100 years.
Yeah, dude.
But you know, it would be really cool to have it like legit as well. Because as a craft cannabiser, it's nice not to have some paranoia.
And here's the thing: is the strains that are out there. And I know for a fact, and we had Owen on set with us the one
Yeah.
time. The Naughty Elephant Spray Water, the West Coast, they they've run out of sativas. They have run out of the sativa strains. I have been getting messages from saying, you know, what do we have to offer you sativa-wise in Africa? And I'm like,
Oh,
well, what you got?
yeah, no, hell.
We got.
Yeah,
So-
I got
So-
dang for dollars.
Yeah,
so,
thanks for
so
dollars,
guys,
sounds good.
we also, as much as what the Dutch and the other growers, wherever they are, Spain, Portugal, West Coast, North Coast, Colorado, they have done what they need to do to get their strains out there. We have the knowledge and we have the sun and we have all of these beautiful genetics that are sitting here at the moment, and it's a pioneering business for those that want to take it on, and I'm very grateful to the Constitutional Court for doing what you did.
Yeah,
Viva Constitutional Court.
Yeah.
There's still going to be some collateral damage on the way to freedom.
Sure, dude.
Yeah,
There always is.
A looter continue.
No, the hard work
But,
begins.
but it's phase 2. Now they believe us. Now we're legit, because the guys in the green dresses, they came out en masse. All 10 of them went, yeah, tick the
And
box.
that was unanimous.
Powerful
But we spoke
stuff,
about that last week. Guys, I'm going to call it. So, no, go check it. We spoke about that last week. So,
Overgrow.
is everyone up for 30 more minutes? Because we're getting into lang extra time. So I'm going to go, and can we go extra time?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
If I can have another one of these.
Yeah, no, let me grab
This is
some.
all I
You
have.
need drinks?
If
Do you
I
need
can have
water and
another one
stuff?
of these.
Intermission, intermission. Get
Get
your popcorn,
your
Oaks.
popcorn, get your popcorn, because we've got some good stuff coming up.
Good to see you. Yes.
Hey,
Get
laka,
out,
laka, laka.
3 kids.
3 kids.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
called it.
I was very about it because, you know.
3 kids and my life just
Good
to get a real job.
Good.
So to
Then
fill
it
you,
brought me here.
Do you know that we met
Things that are
James
meant
in
to
the
be are
waiting
meant to
room
be.
to all go on the Nelly show?
No.
And Nelly at 4 o'clock on TV3,
Oh.
and it was because of the Davis judgment. And I think you came in there on the fly of just being flat out on what on earth is the Davis judgment about? And
I was still reading
ironically, you're the first person we
I was
called to
still reading
go,
it.
what the hell was going on with this judgment? So we met you because of the Davis judgment.
I had it with me and I'm still reading it.
That's still one of the greatest interviews I've ever been
And
interviewed
we-
by. Nelly has got some presence on her that just brings it out of you.
Is it, eh?
Yeah, no, it's so easy to talk to that lady. Yeah? She's very good at what.
just what you just wanted to cuddle you.
Jeez, well, I'm not so sure about that. Can I plant plants at my house? Yes. Am I legally able to bring seeds on me in the country? Yes. I want to build a hemp-based starship.
Yes.
Yes.
Invite us. We'll stream it. So
Hemp Treat Galactica.
So before we went all tangenty there, but it was great though. We were speaking about, so this was a real thrill for me that there was now this 2 great things in my life met in this club in Vancouver. Retro gaming and weed. 2 of my favorite things.
Coming soon, Rick.
Yeah, well, now my question to the room, I'm going to put it to the crew, everyone here as well. If you had to join weed with your absolute other favorite thing as a destination you would go to, what would it be? Jules, if it had to be weed and something that would get you off your ass and to the club to smoke some dank, it would have to be weed and
Sure.
More weed.
hiking.
Yeah, hiking's a good thing. Yeah, going up a mountain. That's a really good thing to do with music. I enjoyed
Mosaicing.
that a lot. Mosaic's the other thing.
A club, just
Yeah.
a mosaicing.
The
and
mosaicing club sounds really middle-aged and boring. Eh?
But you
I'm
would-
going off extreme mosaicing with a bag of skunk.
mosaicing cliff faces.
I'm using shard glass.
So, okay, is that what you settle on?
One of my favourite zones away from drug policy and everything is to mosaic shit on concentrates and get in the zone for 12 hours, wear the same clothes for 3 days, not have a shave. Yeah, I know, it's cool.
Cool.
Yes, cool.
James, for you, weed and?
Well, I can't inhale. I don't. Weed and law. So
There you have it.
I mean, sitting in the Constitutional Court on that day next to these wonderful, awesome people, that was one of the most incredible moments. Hearing that court recognize your right to do with yourself what you please, that was one of the most incredible moments of my life.
Me too.
We're just dealing with the bigness of it. It's like to infinity and beyond at the moment, and we have to pull it in a little bit because people can't deal with infinite numbers at the moment.
For you, Joe, weed and?
It's actually a rough question because I have 2 favorite things, and like shoot me now, one of them is work.
Well, we
Wow.
My
work.
favorite
Let's
thing
not
to
worry.
do
Weed
is
and
to
admin.
come to
We have a
this
pretty
office.
groovy drug policy at work.
We have a pretty, I mean, last week was bring a bomb to work day, but
It's like tacky
I
day.
love my job so much, and it makes me happy to be here. So that
And you deserve it.
I do.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
fucking rocking it.
Yeah,
Life
no,
is good.
Myrtle's angel. Yeah.
But otherwise, painting. I mean, if I have to go with like a hobby thing, crafty, painty, I usually do that with mushrooms though.
Okay. Well, why not? Brandon, weed and?
My daughter.
Okay.
Big
Oh,
bad Bill.
listen to that! Oh, even the background.
She's so
Let me tell you something.
No, be
God,
real.
God has gifted me the most incredible child.
Yeah,
And in a
she's a
sense,
cool kid, huh?
I've never lied to her about what I do, how I do it, the weed. I've taken her to certain areas where I've gone and there's been grows, and her cousin has been on weed oil for the last year, and we were told in September that she was going to die by December. She's still alive. She's the doctors are baffled. She's one of 9 people in the world that have this cancer, very rare cancer. So the bottom line is I can't lie to my daughter because of the stuff that this has happened. My family has changed. I've gone from being a naughty to somebody who's provided them with an opportunity for healing. So my daughter is very much part of it. And the problem is that she walked into a little thing at my house the one day on the garden. She, what's this? And I couldn't lie to her. I made problems with her. I said to her, babe, it's cannabis. It's medicine. It's medicine plants. So she refers to it as medicine plants. After the court case, I said to her, you can tell wherever you want. Medicine. Daddy grows medicine plants. Yes, he does.
Cool.
Very good.
Which answers one of the questions we keep coming back to on previous programs is what's the right age to speak to a kid about cannabis? And when they fucking ask you.
When they're born.
When they ask you.
When they ask you.
They'll tell
when
you.
they're aware of it as being,
Right.
you know, something to ask about, that's when you talk to them.
How old are your kids?
So 6, and then I was blessed with twins of 4 and 4.
4 and 4. All at the same time.
Isn't
I
4 and
bet
4
that was
8?
quite a day out.
Did you notice that I was blessed with twins?
You see, when the doctor tells you the reason why the heartbeat is moving around and this child seems to be
Not
so
stereo,
active,
but it's two.
no, it's actually because there are 2. That moment will stick in your in your mind like somebody has just fired a flash, fired a flash into
Jamie,
you.
It's terrible 2s, tantrum 3s, and fucking 4s. 5 it starts getting better.
Yeah, you'll be fine, buddy.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't believe that you get blessed in life with things that you are not capable of handling, and if that to me is a blessing. One child, one daughter is enough, Baba. Now you got one, and there's a blessing.
But
either that or you need to learn a lesson.
But you mentioned it, right? And
It's
the
like you
only
got
reason why I didn't say it is because I figured that saying mixing children and marijuana was probably a bad thing. Whereas, so I went with law and marijuana. Whereas the most favorite moments that I have are with my kids, and if there's those moments at night when I get to cuddle my daughters and say goodnight to my son.
There's nothing better than that.
There's nothing better than that.
I promise you.
But I couldn't be, you know. Yeah.
That's fair. But I've got a theory about twins, a stupid stoner theory. I've got a theory that all twins are conceived on a Wednesday. Because that's the 2-for-1 special at Steers. So let's guys, we're going to carry on with that question around the room.
You just work that out for a moment, work it backwards.
God.
Maybe he's right.
Baz, you need help, dude. There are people out there going, he needs help. The rest of them are cool, but this Baz guy,
He's slowly trying to hold him in the background.
There's people out there going, is there 2-for-1? It's
Stoners going, screw this, I'm not here.
Do you know what Nando's needs?
Guys, it's not Wednesday.
Nando's needs a Thursday special.
It does now. Our chicken's grilled.
So let's go around the room. Let's continue that question, but I'm going to put it to you guys in the back row, but speak loud so we can hear you. Weed and?
Every single day of my life.
Oh, way.
Day. Weed and?
Gardening, yeah.
Weed and gardening.
Oh,
Weed and?
Weed and yoga.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Weed and?
Spiritual healing.
Fucking
way.
hell. That was so
Spiritual healing.
enlightened.
Weed and all of the above.
So there you have it, a room full of weed enthusiasts who use it to
Did you notice
just
that nobody
enhance
said
their
weed
life?
and 308 rifle in a clock tower?
Yeah, right.
Weed and a girlfriend locked in the bathroom.
Too
I
early, Trevor.
didn't know I had a girlfriend.
Too early, Trevor.
So should we say hello to anyone there? Guys at home also, for you, say, if it had to be your ultimate dream club, weed and?
Yeah. Penelope, weed and what? Hello, Penny. Message retracted. Whoa, there was a story. Leanne Weber. Leanne, goodness me. Hello, Leanne.
Hi.
Leanne's watching from the forests of Tsitsikamma Way. Well, kind of up in the mountains in Sedgefield.
Oh, I love Sedgefield.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
They have a place called Masanwabi Retreats, and after the Sedgefield presentation, they gave us their mountain cottage for the night. And we went back and woke up. We didn't have to get up late because the presentation, the next one's only 100 k's away. And we hung out there for a while, and we woke up, and there's like a drop off, and there's a forest and a valley over there.
And just outside of Knysna, there's a wolf sanctuary, and like I have a thing about wolves and that, for me arriving there and seeing that, I was just like, this is my home.
Is it you? Were you like,
I've been to that sanctuary. It's beautiful.
What kind of dog are you? Ruff, 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 ruff.
and life, weed and anything. Weed and ziplining.
That's nice.
Weed and driving. And playing with my kids.
So someone there
Hello,
said,
Richard Krab. Wow, Richard, hello, buddy.
so someone there said, and this is, I'm going to answer the question now because it leads into our next topic. So someone there said weed and driving.
Oh.
So I'm a real pleb when it comes to driving. Like when I was an IT, when I had PlayStation till today, the games I clocked the most hours on are driving games. Top Gear, I watched that shit more than once. And
It shows, by the way, just where you're going with this. We were very aware of that on the day. You are the reason I became so competitive. I didn't know you was a competitive person.
We had a very groovy day.
so what we did, and just to preamble it, I told my very good friend of mine today what happened yesterday.
Okay.
And he actually said to me, just go fuck yourself. I don't need to hear how good your life is. Because because for a couple of hours there, time and reality warped.
No, but for sure.
And my biggest dream came true.
Wow.
My objective yesterday for 2 hours was to drive as fast as I can, as high as I could be. No bullshit.
Yeah.
Legit as fuck.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, couple of oaks in the back here and a whole bunch of other people, courtesy of Ignition TV. Those motherfuckers on DSTV, shout out.
And VW?
VW.
Yeah, we
Always good
VW
to
lent us
destroy
an
the
Amarok.
community.
A V6 Amarok.
VW, very wicked weed.
And it's all down to the Business Day Motoring magazine.
Yes, Business Day, biggest shout out.
They gave us, they contacted Fields of Green last week and said we want to set up a definitive test of straight to stoned to see what it's like. And it was a Geritech Raceway. And
On a skid pan.
on a skid pan with a V6
Amarok.
Amarok, and all the bells and whistles, and all the people there with the stopwatches and advanced drivers to watch how we're doing, and they'd never been in close confines with stoners ever in their entire lives. They had no idea. They were looking at us like we were zoo exhibits. It was like that. We had our paraphernalia and we're doing dabs, and they're watching the dabs, and
It's like watching a tribe. They've never seen
Because the range of drivers went from people who have never touched weed before to like us.
Correct,
Play it,
correct.
play it.
Yeah,
Play the whole screen full.
we're
Just let it play while we talk.
There's a video that we quickly put together as a sting, because we don't know what the answer is yet.
Who's that handsome man?
We have
Who's
no
that?
idea what the answer to the definitive test is yet, because Business Day have still got the statistics. Nobody knows what they did, but everybody presumes that they drove slower and more conscientiously, because I'm videoing all of these guys in the car. This is my interior shots of asking people the same questions. How do you feel? How does he feel?
Wait, can I just say this? I've got my times. I wanted to know. I'm not competitive, but I'm competitive. So the difference is, I had you in the car the second time with me when I smoked a joint. I had a couple of dabs. My first time was 1:10, 1 minute 10 seconds. I know that for a fact. Then with you in the car, having a conversation with me with that freaking camera in my face the whole time, and being stoned, my time was 1:10. So the woman comes and says to me, "How's that possible?" I said to her, "Well, this is the thing, when I'm stoned and when I'm not stoned, same.
So, but like you were saying, we don't have the results. So I want to help you. Let's give you all at home some context. You're gonna have to visualize this with me in your best Top Gear view. The Amarok standing on the skid pan, water, and those orange cones just out of focus. Clouds gently cruising by.
Fogs of smoke coming out the little.
Yeah.
The sprinkler keeping the pan away.
Yes, it was perfect because honestly, these guys said to me, we're going to go do this driving thing. And I thought, oh, it's going to be cut boring. It's going to be reaction times and that. So we get to this place. It's this legend place. It's where they test Lamborghinis.
Yeah, they've
and
tested
everything.
Regeneration there.
Everything
2 years
forever.
before we even know about it, they've tested a car.
Yeah.
That's
So these
50
guys
hours.
are playing Stig every day, and we don't know about it. And so, and we rock up at this place. We rock up at this place, and they say, actually, we're going to cut the bullshit with yokes. What we're going to do today, you would have spent a day building up to get to, but we're going to get to the shit. And I was like, okay. And then they said, you see this nice V6 top of the line Amarok Bucky? VW says you can use it. Have fun. Ooh, not my car.
knows that you're going to get stoned, and they've said yes. We love you, VW.
Yeah, VW
we
is
love
a
you,
big
Foxy
thing.
buses. We've loved you forever.
The thing about that I found remarkable about that was they actually said that VW weren't the first people they went to.
Yeah.
There's other sponsors around Geritech that they went to first that dropped it, didn't want anything to do with it. But VW's kind of had the hippie thing all their lives, you know, the combi, the counterculture, the VW Beetle with the flowers on it and stuff. So maybe that's still their ethos with this chunky Amarok testosterone
turns
thing.
out to be one of the top growers in the country.
But
And we
it's
took-
comfy, that car, hey?
And we took Indigo, what's it, and Robin.
Yeah.
Robin was with us, and
Indigo
she'd
girl.
never been in an automatic before. There's only 2 pedals.
It was so confusing. But I don't want to spoil the whole story, but basically, stay tuned for next week. We're going to do the results live. We're going to I think we're going to not read the article until we're live on air. Because what we did is, so the baseline was sober.
Don't even wake and bake.
Yeah.
Stop smoking the night before.
That was the hardest drive, though.
It was a really terrible drive.
There wasn't enough coffee to get us there.
And then another lap on 5, grilled, and then another lap on 10. And so we don't know what the results are, but let's go out on the line here. Jules, between your sober lap and your maximum grilled lap, faster, the same, slower.
I'm with Brandon. I don't think it made much difference to me.
Okay.
I think I did exactly the same. The second time I was actually talking into camera while I was going round the bends to make the documentary in my head. So I had 2 things going on at once, and you got to understand, it's one of the most clever cars in the universe, you know. You just put foot and it goes. I mean, there's nothing difficult about handling this car. It's an amazing machine, huh? You're not gonna,
Except if your handbrake's up.
Can we?
What is that noise? Dude, why that noise is bugging me while I'm
did the whole lap with the handbrake on.
If I can,
And
I'm
still
gonna,
be better so there's some other people.
I'm gonna give you a get out of jail free one
Yeah.
about the rhythm to the beat. Should I skip that, or can we go there quick?
Go there.
Okay. Can we play the video quick? So, for those of you paying attention, Joe, her head's skitting like she's listening to a lacquer jam.
She was actually singing something about driving this Daisy.
Really,
But
eh?
there was like, but yeah, on the second one there, on that run, and then
Handbrake up.
What? No, we're getting
but
it.
there, Robin actually said there should be music in the car, so she started laying down this beat,
Really?
this beatbox thing that she would do as a loop. So she said it was going to mess with all of. She didn't do it for long because it messed with all of the. There's no audio on this, obviously, because I don't need the audio. I just put the thing together.
So basically, what
here,
happened?
look, what? There's no music in the car.
Yeah, it was the handbrake, it was the brakes saying.
It turns out there was an answer to the mystery of the missing beat that Robin had laid a rhythm to, that Joe was skitting to. It turned out it was the handbrake light thing going ding, 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 because it was up the whole time.
I'm suitably embarrassed.
My
but
best
cool,
is
I own it.
Joe's like, she comes out there and she goes, how was it?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess my first time was the slowest, but I made it around the whole fucking thing with the handbrake.
But you think you're going to have been consistent?
I think after that I was consistent.
Okay, cool. Brandon?
So I know for a fact lap 1 and lap 2 was 110, but then I saw your time, and I saw your time.
Oh, have you?
So,
Oh,
listen,
And
I
then
became
the
very good friends with the marshal because we had that whole
I
conversation.
don't want
about
any,
me.
don't
And I'm not
spoil
going to
it.
say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
Spoilers.
I'm going to say anything.
No spoilers.
So understand this. I was a 110, and you guys, when I saw your scores, when it came to the third time, I was like, I've got 2 110s. I'm averaging out pretty cool. And I came around that 360 thing, and that just seems wagon.
2 bollards, twang.
Dude, no, dude, I knocked down a cone, and then she got on my case, but do you know that cone could have been a kid? I was like,
So that's when we started calling the cones the kids.
yes, I was like, but it's not a kid. If it was a kid, I wouldn't be driving here, and I wouldn't be this freaking stoned.
That's the point. Remember,
Ever.
at the end of the whole thing, we're having a debrief by the advanced driving guy that facilitated it, and he said, this is brand new to me, I've never seen anything quite like it. It changes with alcohol, there is a difference, and the difference is, well, I'm not going to tell you what he said, because we're going to show you what he said.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We'll put the video on next week of exactly what he said.
Amazing.
He said he's doing this objectively because he has no idea what it's like to be stoned, but he does know what it's like for whiskey.
Yeah.
And everyone had to laugh at that. But I asked, how many of you guys now stoned, or more stoned than you'd ever be if you were driving anywhere? 8 out of 10 people. Everyone would be doing 60 k's an hour in a multi-storey car park trying to find the exit, because that was like
Trying to look for the biggest water sprinkler in the world.
You know what I'd do if I had that car? I'd buy slip and slides, and I'd make the whole garden full of slip and slides and sunlight liquid, and do donuts for
Can
them.
I just say something? Can I just say something about Buzz? Buzz, I just want to say something about Buzz. After everything was done, Buzz still came. He said, "Hey guys, imagine if we take the diff lock off, and we take this off. That's when I want to do it." I said, people don't assume that this pretty face. There's a daredevil inside this man that I didn't know about. He's a maniac.
Totally.
It was fun.
What I liked about yesterday was, because it was legitimised by a major national newspaper, and Volkswagen, and Geritech, and the Advanced Driving School, etc., this might be a definitive piece of groundbreaking science, because it was all written down and put together, and I'm proud that it had filtered green all over
groundbreaking
it.
things again?
I know, we're pioneering again on a Wednesday. Pioneering on a Wednesday this time.
Apparently, be careful
This
of
is why I
Wednesdays.
love coming to
Have you worked it back yet?
I haven't, but I'm going to avoid Wednesdays. I'm just going to go.
He's going to be like, damn, that one night at Monte Casino. I remember now.
The wine and dine at Monte.
But anyway, it was a great day. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to make a real effort with it. These guys made a genuine effort. It's amazing. For all our sins, though, I hope we do not end up inadvertently being in Arrive Alive ads for the next 10 years on SABC.
Do not be like Brandon. Do not be like Buzz. Can I tell you something? Here's a fear that I had for
Arrive
years.
Blaze.
Getting rid of the fears. So I used to drive to SABC from where I lived and see all these signs.
With
These signs.
Chivas Regal
I
and-
use Dagga says, and I used to always have this image of that bus, me, Brandon, during those times of Issy Dingo, out the signs would read, Dope does dope.
Dope does dope.
For years. So I want to go to someone and say, just make me up one anyway. You know what I mean? Please just make that one up.
Dabs for doop.
Your dabs for doop for days.
Cool. Should we say some shout outs before I get on to the news?
Well, at this point, you're Duck Guruk. That's Raz Warren's cheese is kicked in now. He would, Martin Latham would like to love to drive a tank tread type vehicle or a Casper MK6. That's what he wants to do stoned.
Good for you, dude.
Over what though?
Dude, if you get that machine, you invite me and we'll take the traction control off.
Yeah, terms and conditions apply. Traction control must be off.
Chris J, grow your own chickens, don't support Babylon.
Hey Chris.
Sound advice.
This is an old friend of mine, old Chris. I mean, he went cool runnings in the old days, back when it was right in the 4s. I met Chris in...
Yeah, I remember.
No.
He came and he did a whole expo there, and they had the most amazing things that they showed off there, like hemp bricks and hemp, all of this and hemp.
Way ahead of the time, eh?
Way
Completely,
always.
completely.
Yeah.
Chris helped us facilitate the Bathurst leg of the presentation in the Bathurst Agricultural Hall, surrounded by tractors and ploughshares and stuff. It's fucking bizarre.
And I must also say a nice thing about Chris's chick. What was her name again? She was like an OG one from we.co.za.
Isn't it Megan? Megan?
Correct us if we're wrong there, Chris. But
Because
dude,
quickly tap there.
dude,
Samantha.
dude, strikes me as a lacquer chick, and I'm glad you're saying. But
Yeah.
also, sometimes I wonder when I'm barely fucking holding on. So our next story of the week, we're going to cut to the chase on it. So this was in Sports 24, part of News 24. Tunes SA athletes warned you still can't smoke Dagga. Cut to the chase, they say you can't use weed. Their quote is, although cannabis marijuana has been legalized, you got it wrong there, it's decriminalised, but anyway, for personal use in SA, it remains a prohibited substance as per the World Anti-Doping Code and are still on the 2018 list of prohibited substances. So that's fine and all. You so lang fucking boring. But now, brass tacks of it, in what sport would weed actually be considered a performance enhancer?
Sprinting, if there's a Hershey bar or something at the end of that fucking 100 meters on your mark. Get set.
You check the spa doors closing.
Yeah, she's like this. Can I just say this? So
The last
we have as our little crew from our little what we do, we have been sponsoring an MMA fighter who has come out very clean about the fact that he's a user and he's a champ and he's a fighter, and it's
Have you had him on Mary Jarvis yet?
yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, we bring on a champion motocross rider who has got Mary Java all over his, and he's on the day that it was made,
Wow.
personally blowing out of his thing. But he's like a champion, and we're bringing on an MMA fighter that we've been sponsoring for the last 3-4 months, because he came to us and said to us, like, what can I do to stand up for the rights of people?
Proudly
And
green.
and proudly green. And he stepped up, and I said to him, well, this is what we can offer you, and buck steel. Oh, buck steel. My boy.
That sounds hardcore, but still.
No,
You should know yourself, because you go through loads of training routines, changing your body shape.
But-
Fuck it, bro.
But how does it
I answer
enhance
to you
your
for
performance?
It doesn't enhance your performance. Can I
Puts you in
tell
the zone, it takes away the pain.
Yeah,
Lasts longer?
But there's just there's a difference to the fact that, like, I left a girlfriend the one day because she said to me, "Why do you always have to smoke a joint before you read a script?" I said, "Because it takes away the
Yeah,
obvious.
it's good.
It takes
Yeah.
away the obvious for me." So and she goes, "Oh, shame." Excuse me.
Okay.
Don't let the door hit you on your ass as you leave.
Or was that too obvious?
I've suffered my whole. My mom said to me when I started smoking in the army, and my mom said to me, I came back a changed person. And I know she's like, "Oh, you changed. You were such a nice boy." And then, but I came back having dealt with my ADD and my ADHD that they were going to give me written for, and that thank God I went to the school that took me off it. But it allows me. My brain rushes. I don't need anything. I'm constantly.
I know a bunch of folk that blaze in the car park before they go to the gym.
I used to.
It allows me,
15
even for
years
gym,
ago,
even for
right?
gym,
It's
and
fine.
even
To
with
zone?
yeah, just it allows me to take that moment and make that moment my consciousness right now, because it doesn't. You must see me try and do projects at home. Yes.
Okay, well then let's this feels too easy then, because we're all agreeing, but I think it's a loaded question because we all love weed.
Yeah.
Everything's better with weed. But now if you were to be participating in a sport, so now you've got your shorts on and you've had your pre-game dump and you've done the rah and you've listened to your amp song.
You sound like a jock now, bro.
Exactly. What sport would you most dread participating in while high?
Cricket.
Batsman.
Yeah, cricket.
Yeah, cricket.
Polo.
Polo.
Swimming was my favorite.
It sounds
because
like it sounds
gets you in
like
the zone.
yeah, anything with the ball, which
Yeah.
is every sport.
I think anything
Anything
with a team.
coordination.
I think it's a singular sport. If you're doing something on weed, I don't think it's part of teamwork.
One player only.
I think it's a one-player only thing. You
Yeah,
can't-
I would swim for
And run and
hours.
cycle like Ironman or whatever
Yeah.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Those kind of guys.
but you can understand
Unless
how
the whole team is fast.
it sharpens your
Because then it's all about
concentration.
themselves.
And
Sharpens
is
your
there
concentration.
anything in life you dread doing while high?
While high.
Having like a serious conversation with my mom.
What is that?
Yeah.
No, that's a real
I mean,
thing.
She, she's cool and everything, but it's still like a, I don't know, respect thing. I think more. I just feel like her eyes are prying deep into my soul, and her eyes are saying to me, "Joe, I know you're stoned."
But then you should look at her and say, yes, I am.
Yeah, no, well, I do these days.
Aren't you?
Justice is listening in.
Hi, Justice.
Hey, Justice. There are limits set by the World Anti-Doping Authority for permissible THC levels now, and it seems fairly high or reasonable, but CBD is completely accepted with no limits. So in America, they really are, half a generation ahead in acceptance. Here it's a value, but at least they have an opinion, you know where you stand. And if you don't like the rules of being in the high grade of athleticism with the association of sports people, you have to play by their rules. It's just like all the other drug test things we get in the workplace. Still, does that mean if I can smoke at home I can?
No.
Well, yeah, you can go to work non-stoned with THC in you, like we were discussing with. That was a major thread with the driving, James. The fact that we were doing it immediately and getting in the car. We were actually blazing and then rushing to the car to be high. Yeah. But you wouldn't be to
run to get high because there was so little time. I was running off, waving, saying, "I'm coming now. I've got to go get high."
Yeah, the high and the car were a long way away from each other.
But anyway, so James, I know you're legit oak. You don't partake. That's cool by the pool. But if you were hypothetically to be stoned out of your fucking bracket, what would you most dread having to do or confront?
It's.
I'm not sure it makes me legit that I don't do. It just makes me sick. That's my. I'm just unfortunate that way.
But I'm like that with alcohol, James. Alcohol doesn't sit with me, my bro. You know what I mean? So it's not for everybody.
So I don't know. But I mean, I obviously tried it when I was young, and hell, I can't remember. It was just a blaze.
So the worst thing you would need to do after getting high was actually get high, which is a paradox in itself. But that's cool. Jules, what is your anti-mosaic?
You're full of it tonight,
The anti-mosaic. I don't think I've ever tried doing it not stoned. It's part of the whole ethos of doing the things I do around the house, all of those crazy things I build and all the brickwork and the mosaics and the pools and stuff. I wouldn't even think about doing it not blazed. It was like you said the other day, driving to Geritech and not having smoked since the night before consciously. It was quite a weird drive.
horrible.
It was a different drive. Very dangerous, yeah, very dangerous indeed. So, just quickly on the having tests and stuff, whether you're a sportsman, whether you're in the workplace thing you sign trumps any constitutional court, really, at this point. Yeah, if they say, welcome to our team, we may well be doing periodic drug testing as part of our insurance policy, or covering our arse, or as part world standards or something. If you fail a test, and they're coming in, they're around, it's a very legit question in our inbox at the moment. If you can smoke weed at home, you have to be able to be stoned at work, because it doesn't go away for 4 weeks.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's a brilliant question, because the interesting thing is this, that your constitutional rights prevail. So you have now been given the right to use the stuff within your own home. Whether that translates into it being the constitutional court saying that that stuff can remain, and it seems to me that it almost by implication must mean that it can stay in you for a while, then that would override any contract you can engage.
Is that a fact? I didn't know. Okay, that's a really good piece of news.
So,
but then there'll always be a fight, and there is the CCMA and the...
So, I mean, let's make it... Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, I'm interrupting you, actually. Carry on.
Yeah, no. So, here's a great example. That if, for instance, now, well, we have the Constitutional Court saying you can use it by yourself. Your new employer says they believe that stoners are turned into useless individuals, and therefore when you get employed by them, you have to sign this contract that says you can never use. You sign it, right? They find out that you've used over the weekend, and they bring you into a discipline. They stand no chance.
Indeed. Okay.
Good to know.
So the Constitution would prevail.
It supersedes.
Beyond reasonable doubt, they would need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you were high on duty if they were going to try and fire you for that.
That you were stealing
They would have
photocopy paper to make
There's
Gehrig's.
no way to do that unless they have got photos of like bloodshot eyes. This is saying that falling all over the place.
So there's a different. I mean, maybe this is an interesting or a useful point to make. Is that in law, for instance, when it comes to intoxication by alcohol, you've got two crimes actually. You've got and the one we're most familiar with is driving with a blood alcohol level in excess of 0.0. I think it's 5.
Yeah.
That's one crime, right? And that's what we usually get prosecuted under. There's another crime which is driving while intoxicated. And it can be driving while intoxicated because you've drunk too much cough mixture, right? It doesn't matter what. And that could apply, theoretically, to marijuana. I don't know. So that distinction about being, for instance, intoxicated while driving your car, which is a problem and could make you could be fall foul of that, could well apply at work.
Okay, yes.
Irrespective of whether your works policy is that you can't use it. A constitutional court has said now you can use it, but there's a different thing going on. You can't be intoxicated.
Yeah,
at work.
there's still
Right.
other rules still
Yeah.
apply.
Right.
So that's the.
Now, I think THCs will apply. That's all going to be defined and so on. But you got into something interesting now. And we're coming into Land Oak. So this is time now. Last questions, last comments. Keep it real. There was an article that came out this week about South Africa's first Dagga infused beer.
Yeah.
Pretty much everywhere.
Durban
It's
poison.
a pretty big reaction to
Urban
it.
poison.
It's CBD infused, bro. Let's be very,
Yeah,
let's be very
that's-
clear about that.
It's
It's
actually not even CBD
Yeah.
infused, it's hemp infused.
Yeah, and let's be honest, guys. So there are a few people out there making what they were doing, and it's like I've heard via the grapevine that Coca-Cola is jumping on the bandwagon.
That's last week.
Oh,
Check
right.
last week's episode, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Like,
last
share,
week.
subscribe.
And I think, and I've heard via the grapevine. I don't know if you spoke about it last week. Is the Marlboro is
No? Didn't speak about that.
yeah. So Marlboro is also apparently going to be releasing a whole thing of.
Well, they kind of had to. People have been memeing them doing it for a long time.
So does that mean the new Marlboro man has to be able to do yoga too?
As long as it looks good in tights.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone's moving in. So now, this, okay, so we know this only has hemp in. I know that there's rules though, because I got a friend, good guy, checked him out, Monk's Gin. They released a hemp infused gin. And I know it's a bit clickbaity because you see the logo and it screams weed, 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 and they said hemp infused, which was the responsible thing to say, listen, it's not THC, it's hemp. But they got taken to the advertising complaints, Oaks, and they actually had to remove the hemp part. Because as it applies, because you can't put cannabis or hemp, because there's this weird loophole in South Africa that everyone says, yeah, but when I go to the bird shop, there's all these hemp seeds, and when I go to the fishing thing, there's these hemp seeds. But these are for non-human consumption hemp products.
Right.
So now what we're possibly, they may be infringing on an actual other food law.
But do you know
Forget just cannabis. Could they possibly be in, because this thing says cannabis beer on it. That's effectively trading in cannabis.
Yeah,
Straightforward. Straightforward is about the one thing that is straightforward. If it has THC, that's the issue. If it doesn't, go wild.
I'm just trying to find what I showed you yesterday lunch. I can't even remember
So,
where it
but the
came
thing
in
is as
from.
well,
It had 100 mics of THC in it.
That's what you showed it to me. The mango infused.
Yeah.
Blackweed Nation.
Yes.
What?
Black
That's
Nation.
the juice we reviewed.
No. This is Durban Poison. And
Oh.
the guy, when we were
Oh.
in Cinsa, when we were at the rat party at Cinsa for the CDCSA in the Eastern Cape, they had a 3x3 shell with Durban Poison on, and they had 2 taps. And I had Fields of Green for All on, and they read the thing with cannabis, and they drummed up a conversation with me. But I am actually really against. I don't like what I see about bringing these two cultures together. in one
I'm
bottle.
totally with you, bro.
I don't trust it one little bit. They don't fit together in any form. If you want to have weed and beer, do it like that with a bottle. Don't put these two together. 'Cause
Yeah.
100%.
all the mayhem of
Let's
weed
draw that
comes
in
with a
crayons.
quart.
Weed plus booze.
And beer. If you
Where
want
the
to
hell-
have weed and
It
beer.
was greenies.
Who sent me that? Did I put it on the group? The side by
You did
side
put it on the-
comparison.
Yeah, that is
Put it
black
on the
water
group.
thingy. They
But
did
weed
that thing.
plus
It was
booze
their
makes
thing.
greenies.
that-
Who the
yeah.
fuck wants greenies on purpose?
Well, here's the problem, is that if they are putting THC in beer, which they are either selling or giving away or trading, something, they are contravening the law.
Yes, because at Cinsa, the guy's telling me today, the day we were talking, in Durban, in the main drag, they were launching hemp beer for the first time in South Africa. And I said, I don't like the way it's going. He said, no, it's not going. It's not like going to get you stoned. It's hemp beer. I said, well, it's the start of bad things to come. And I looked him in the eye and I meant it. So I'm sick of
thought about that as well. You're right.
Yeah, no, it's not cool
right.
because there are two very different cultures here, and the cold beer in a joint at the end of the day, hell of a thing.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to be real with you. The thing I'm going to be or the people I'm going to feel the most for are one, the middle-aged people are going to be like, honey, I bought this little 6-pack of these Dagga beers. Or these little 16-year-olds, they put all their 20 rands together, and one of them who just had a bit of pubage managed to get it right at the corner cafe to get a 6-pack of these things. And they're all going to hold out for Friday night so that they can get massively high, which they're holding out for. And you know what it's going to be? Failure to launch.
Failure.
So be real, guys. Yeah. Come on, man. You start clickbaiting a little. It's cool. I respect the hustle. But let's not clickbait motherfuckers just
no, it's actually how it is.
It is, you're right, buddy. You want, and that is something that has always been like my thing with. I was quite a heavy drinker. I used to like drinking a lot.
Yeah, I did loads of drinking in my 30s. Well, it's part of growing up.
Crazy stuff, but
you're still growing up in the 30s.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was a choice that I needed to make because there was one that made me go, life is cool, and one that made me go, well, fuck life, and I had to make a choice because the one was not good for me. It was a negative effect on my being, on my existence, and I needed a reason. And I had a little girl, and I literally quit alcohol for 4 years. Like I didn't touch alcohol, and then I realized that I could actually, if I put my mind to it, I could have a glass of wine. I could have a glass of red wine and be okay with that, and not drink myself into a stupor because I didn't know when to say no. You know,
responsible adult use.
Yeah, exactly. Even with weed, I know when enough is enough. Jules, I mean, we spoke about it yesterday. You know, I know when enough is enough. Maybe I didn't know when I was in my 30s.
Well,
or my 20s. You know what I mean? I didn't be wake up, bong, 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 bong. but it's not like that now because I have more. I suppose I have more to do with my life than sit around and smoke bongs all day. You know what I mean? So.
That was the other distinction they made at the racetrack yesterday, was the fact that we know we're stoned. Yeah. We know that we all put our hands up to say, there's no way. But many a time, most people on alcohol think they're better than they actually are. They've got this.
I want that test. That's a test.
Yeah, no, that's a big.
But I think we're most amped for next week's thing, guys. Really. Tune in for next week's one. We're going to make a big roo-rah about this. Before we sign out, though, guys in the studio, nice and loud. Do you think you went faster, slower, or the same at the end? Nice and loud.
I think after VW bought Bugatti, I think we should actually ask them to allow us to Bugatti.
Do you know what you should do? You put your fucking phone 702 about it, man. Faster, slower, or the same?
A bit faster.
A bit faster.
A bit faster. Okay.
Faster, slower, or the same?
Better.
Better. Do you think the stoners went faster, slower, or the same?
And faster.
Faster, slower, or the same?
Mellow.
Okay, cool.
In other words, Brandon. Yeah.
So guys at home, please, we're going to make a real deal. I am going to be like Christmas present under the tree and wait with the results. So I'm going to be really good on everyone else. Because if anyone fucking sneaks a peek, I'm going to be pissed off.
Sorry, I did.
Well, you're kicked out already.
That's alright, you're not a guest next week.
You're on my red Rizzler list.
Find your URL.
So guys, any final thoughts? Any final shout outs?
I'm honest.
James, sorry it took so long. It's quite a long haul. This is normally an hour, but
No, good.
there is so many questions because of this judgment. We really appreciate you levelling the playing field a bit and actually make it, this whole thing about how much can I grow. I think we thrashed that out now.
Yeah.
You're the only person to answer that yourself.
As much as you need.
Yeah, as much as you need. So good luck with that. Do the maths and multiply it by 12 months, and there you got a figure, you know.
Yeah, and then we'll check you next week. Please remember, like, share, subscribe, and also our other biggest asked questions are: where can I get seats? And I think what you aren't asking is, where do I get the grow supplies to go with those seeds? So seeds, I think green smoke room.
Green smoke room.
I'm a deadly. Anyone else we should give shout outs to for seeds?
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy, I always forget pharmacy. And then for grow stuff, GT Hydro, please. Yeah, these oaks have
GT.
gift stuff, man.
Man, they've just been so good to this springtime. They're really, really generous folk at GT.
I was there yesterday. It was busy.
Busy!
I'm walking at everybody be growers now!
Yay, overgrow.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I pushed Shane was like, you're not funny, bro.
Guys, it's been a great episode. Please like, share, subscribe. Stay lit.
Bye.
Cheers.
Check.
Check.